Welcome to Gringo Gone Wild. This is part 2 of Ayahuasca and my spirit guide. I'm Rusty Johnson. The only way I could really contain it with my snake stick was able to get a tap on the tip of its tail. And as soon as I hit the tip of its tail, it spun and coiled up and took a defensive striking position. But at least it was sitting still now and we were face to face. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh shit, man, what am I going to do? My snake stick was 3 foot long and this snake was 9 foot long. So it had a 6 foot reach on me. There's no way in hell that I was able to use this snake stick. So I literally just throw that on the ground. I grab a machete and I chop down a thin sapling as quick as I can. And I get the sapling down. The sapling, I'd say, would be about 10 foot long. I'm going to try to pin its head, but they're so strong. Get the head almost pinned and she'd wiggle out. Ground was soft because of all the rain we were having. 2-3 times she was wiggling out. Finally, I quickly flipped the stick over for the fat trunk end of it. It was a little stronger. Pinned her head, and she couldn't wiggle out, so I got her there. But I didn't want to approach her and have her wiggle out. So, because she actually terrified me. I literally wanted to just say, fuck this. All right, man, I got in too deep. Let's go home. But to save face, there's no way I was going to go this entire distance and drag everybody into this freaking fiasco that I created to suddenly say, screw this, let's go home. I had to save some face here, so I'm like, hey, man, you got what you asked for. Deal with it. So what I did was I laid down the stick and I put my foot on it and I walked up the stick. So then when I got closer, the more pressure was applied to her back of her neck. And it was nice, though. She wasn't getting hurt because at most the pressure would just sink her into the mud a little bit more. So it wasn't knocking off any airway or anything. But it was enough pressure where I could get to her and she wouldn't break loose. So I walk up, I get to her. I am shaking, man. I'm really freaking out. The adrenaline's flowing. I'm just working straight off of adrenaline and not even really thinking. Just knowing, don't get fucking bit. And as soon as you get a hold on this snake, no matter what, don't let go. If you don't let go, you're not going to get bit. It's the minute you freak out and let go is when you're going to get bit. And I said, even if the tail, she starts jamming me with the spine on her tail, it's just the spine on the tail. Take it. Take the beating. Because if you freak out and let go, that's what she wants, and she's going to bite you. And they have the longest fangs. The Bushmaster Viper in Africa has the longest fangs in the world. This is number 2. But this snake ended up having 4 fangs. As soon as I was able to grab her behind the neck, you have to grab her in 3 points. You have to have your thumb behind the jaw joint, the left jaw joint, your middle finger behind the right jaw joint, and then your pointer finger there's a little kind of butt on the back of the skull that you need to put your fingers. And it's a 3-finger hold. If you just use these 2 fingers, the fangs are so long, they can actually, even while you're holding them, manipulate the fang backward and stick a fang in you while you're holding them. But if you're using a 3-point hold, they can't do that. So I get a 3-point hold on her, death gripping her. I knew I wasn't going to hurt her. So I had a good old grab on her. Take the stick off. I had Fabi go into my backpack and get me a glass. So got her and I have her bite the glass, and so she shoots the venom off. I had Fabi holding the glass, and I was massaging the venom glands on the sides of her eyes to get as much as I can out of it. So I get what I can out of her, which is about 1 gram of venom, but that's enough to kill a lot of people. Now, my plan was to let her go, but in passing while we were back at the hut, the hunter said to me, here's the deal. If we come across a Bushmaster, you're either going to take it home with you or I'm killing it, because I don't want it on my property, because I don't want it killing me or killing any more of my dog. Of course, I said, okay, fine. And I had all intents and purposes to take it home with. I was going to put it in that bag I had and take it back to my place by the lake. But I did not plan on catching a 9-foot Bushmaster. Yeah. I couldn't even fit it in the bag. Even if it could fit in the bag, they could bite through the bag. And I'm not risking carrying this thing hours back home with the possibility of someone else getting bit. It just wasn't worth it. So I got the venom that I needed. And I knew if I just let her go, she was going to just kill me. So what I did was I put her back on the ground. I put the stick back over her head, stepped on the stick, pinned her back in the mud. And then once I got a solid hold on her with the stick, I stood up and I basically tightrope walked backwards down the stick till I got a distance of about 10 feet. Then I went to pull the stick off. Now, my idea was, if I pull the stick off, hopefully she's just going to turn tail and run, and the hunter's going to let her go, and everything will be fine. But that wasn't the case. As soon as I took it off, she took a defensive position again and started coming for me. And what I did was laid the stick back down on her head to pin her, and then maybe let go and see if she'd leave again. But by the time I could react to pin her head again, over my shoulder, bam! Her shot. And it was a hunter gut shot when she came towards me, which I had to thank him because of technically saving my life if she could have bit me. But I was kind of upset about it because I didn't want to kill her. All I wanted was her venom. But a deal was a deal, and that's what he said, and I could understand it from his point of view. So I didn't make much mention of it. But I wasn't going to let her go to waste. So what we did is took what's called timeshea, and timeshea is a thin vine, and it has a flexibility and the strength of like telephone cord. So I took the vine and I wrapped it around her neck. It had about maybe like a 8-9 foot length of vine, and we walked home, and I drug her behind me. Because some of these snakes have a tendency to come back to life, and when they're half dead, and then you get bit, and whether you get bit by a live snake or a half dead snake, it's going to kill you just the same. So I want at least 9 feet behind me. We're dragging her home, pretending I'm happy, and I'm really ecstatic that I have the venom, but I'm feeling guilty about killing her. That surely wasn't my plan. So we do the 2 hours back to her hut, lay her out on the side of the hut, and of course take pictures of her. I was just enthralled with being able to actually look at her and not worry about dying. So I spent hours just staring at her, taking pictures, and checking out her 4 fangs, and just scanning every centimeter of her. The time came where we needed to go to sleep. So she slept at my side, only about 3 foot away. The natives, oddly enough, were extremely terrified of her, even dead. They were, for like every 10 minutes, you'd see a flashlight come on when you hear a noise, and this flashlight would be pointing at the dead snake. And she's just sitting there, but she looked alive, which was the weird part. Like her eyes would reflect and everything. She seemed so alive, and almost you think, did she move? Did she not move? I'm not sure. So the locals are very paranoid. I mean, even the hunter, he went up into his loft and he talked to us, and he hung out and bullshitted for a lot of the night. But he was up in his loft while he was doing it. But we finally go to sleep, and the next morning I said, all right, well, we're doing something here because I'm not wasting her. I want to utilize everything of her, and I want to eat her. So what we did was skinned her. And Fabiola, being a professional chef, she ended up cutting her up into little 1 foot chunks after we skinned her, and she filleted her just like a giant fish, then bagged her up so then we could cook her when we got home. I ended up taking the head. I learned how to preserve the head, dry it out to where it looks alive with the mouth open and the fangs, and it was just such a dramatic looking head. I held on to that, and of course had the skin. So, long story short, we returned back to the house on the lake, which was just as horrible as the trip there. Bushwhacking through the jungle and then getting back to that road. And again, the overnight we were there, the road didn't dry out at all. So we're still pushing and pulling and lifting the motor car all those miles back to the hut. We get back to the hut. Fabi cooks up the Bushmaster, and I eat it. Fabi eats it, and my shaman eats it. Not to sound cliche, but it tastes like chicken, but it has the consistency of fish. It's a flakier. It tasted great. So we ate it, and at that point, that was kind of the end of the journey. Now I have the venom. Now I have to figure out what the hell am I going to do with it. Because I know a single drop of the pure venom would kill you. So just bottled that up and kept it on ice. Needed to figure out what to do with it. But at least that part of the journey was accomplished. My assumption was I'd just kind of beat the bush in the jungle and find a snake medicine shaman and try to connect with him and learn it. But it did not end up that way. What happened was the following morning of my return, that evening, I had an ayahuasca ceremony with my shaman and Fabiola, as well as the brother who drove the motor car, and a friend of his. It was probably about 9 o'clock at night when we were going to start the ceremony. We were having the ayahuasca ceremony at my hut on the lake. It's a beautiful lake. I have 6 paiche there, which are the largest fish in the Amazon, about 12 foot long, a couple 100 pounds, and have caiman in there too as well. So this floats right on the lake itself. So actually the caimans and the fish swim below the house as well as all around it, and you can hand feed them off the deck. So it's a beautiful little hideaway that I have there. And so we do the ayahuasca ceremony there. And the way that begins is the shaman begins the ceremony, blesses the ayahuasca with mapacho, which is a type of their tobacco, Also, a lot of different plants they use for incense. Then he takes the cup and he passes around to each person, and they take a drink of the ayahuasca. About enough for a shot glass. We all have our shot of ayahuasca and sit there. Now, typically it takes about 30 to 40 minutes for ayahuasca to kick in, to really start getting the visions and having the magic happen. But I'm sitting there and nothing's happening for the first 5-10 minutes, which I expected. But next thing I know, Fabi is next to me violently vomiting. Now, vomiting is a part of the beast of ayahuasca. You purge out of both ends, typically. But normally it takes about 45 minutes to an hour for it to kick in before any of that it would even begin to happen. But after about 5 or 10 minutes, Fabi starts throwing up. Next thing you know, the shaman's brother starts projectile vomiting. And then the friend starts vomiting. And nothing is happening. Now, I start freaking out because although I have experience in ayahuasca, not the experience compared to Fabi, who was actually conceived on ayahuasca and has been an ayahuasca arrow for years. The shaman's brother, Shirley, was well versed in ayahuasca, as well as I believe the friend was a shaman. He's throwing up, and I'm like, my God, if this has happened to them, what in the hell is going to happen to me? I'm thinking I want to die now. I'm like, when's this coming? And what's going to happen to me if this is happening to people who've done ayahuasca for decades? What's going to happen? And I spaz out, man. It's dark and no one noticed, but I was sticking my fingers down my throat to throw up to at least get some of it out. So maybe I just feel like I was half dying. So everybody's hearing me, but I'm dry heaving. Nothing is coming out. Nothing is coming. So finally I'm like, all right, forget it. Just deal with it. I lay down on my stomach and nothing's happening. Fabiola, she's feeling it. She's saying how beautiful the medicine is, and she's feeling it. She's having visions. I hear the other guys kind of scurrying around a little bit. I can hear them. Things are happening for them. Nothing is happening for me. It's absolutely black in my mind. I close my eyes. I see nothing but black. Now, typically, when I would take ayahuasca, you're seeing vivid colors, you're seeing geometric figures, you're seeing sometimes forms of people, forms of animals, of course. Nothing is happening. It's just a black screen, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, there's something wrong with this. This ayahuasca, this sucks. Nothing's happening. And my stomach, I'm kind of feeling like shit, like that half of a pearl type of feeling, like that uncomfortable feeling, like just a little nauseous, not bad, but just enough to be pissed off about it. And nothing was happening. And I was kind of mad. I was like, all right, this sucks. Was not expecting the night to go this way. And just when I was just about to getting super tweaked about it, I'm sitting there with my eyes closed and I'm laying on my stomach on a mat. I see a light top corner of the right side of my eye line, and like a spotlight, it shines down. And I'm like, wow, I'm thinking, what's this, man? And I hear a voice. The voice says, I want to make an introduction. And the voice is Mother Ayahuasca. Luckily, ever since I've taken ayahuasca, I've always communicated with the ayahuasca spirit, and she'd speak to me. So I recognized her, and she says, I want to make an introduction. So, thinking in my head, I was like, okay, no problem. And then I look up in the left top corner of my eye line, and I see a circle, a round circle of blackness, but it's more of a glossy black against the flat black. So it looks like a hole. And I'm just seeing it. I'm just wondering to myself, I'm like, what the hell is that? It's defined enough for it to be something, but I couldn't realize what it was. And she says, again, I'd like to make an introduction. I'm thinking again, all right, no problem. And then I'm looking up at that hole, and suddenly I see something form behind it, and it was an eyeball. But when I get a good look at it, it had a vertical pupil, and it was the eyeball of the Bushmaster that I caught the night before and ate. And then suddenly the eye fades away, and a snake tongue comes out through the hole and flits throughout the hole 3 or 4 times. I said, hell no. There's no way I'm meeting her. She hates me. I just killed her and ate her and sucked the venom out of her, and there's no way I want to meet her. She hates me. And she says, it's not what you think. I said, well, all I'm thinking is there's no reason why she should like me. There's no way in hell I want to meet her. I'm not going to do it. And as soon as I said I wasn't going to do it, literally my stomach twisted in a knot. And I got this huge pain in my stomach, and I just started profusely sweating. And even it was like hard to breathe. It was almost hyperventilating. And then I said, I don't care. I can't do it. There's no way I can face this. The guilt that I felt of killing her, I didn't have the balls to face her. I was like, no, I can't. I'm not going to do it. So the second time I said no, again, my stomach twisted. This excruciating pain in my stomach, sweating, hard to breathe, everything. And then the light says to me, if you just let go, the pain will go away. I was always taught with ayahuasca that no matter how intense visions can be, how intense messages can be, to take it with the thought process that, hey, these are visions. Just think of it as like a really cool documentary in your mind. Nothing is really going to hurt you, just a mental trip. So go with it. I said, all right, fine, you win, I'll go with it. And I laid on my stomach, and when I took a deep breath, as soon as I exhaled and I said, okay, I let go, the black circle opened up, and the Bushmaster came out of the hole, and she darted straight for my face. Mouth open, fangs out, and I was just like, oh, here we go. She's going to bite me in my face. But she literally went right into my third eye, and then just went right into me. And I could see the tail, everything going straight in through the middle of my third eye. And when she did that, at the same time, my skin felt like falling dominoes that just all fell at once, down from my head, down all the way to my toes, and my skin turned to scales, it felt like. And even my body kind of tweaked in like a serpentine motion for a second, for just a split second. And then the light disappears. I'm in complete darkness again. With my eyes closed, I'm seeing things, but I'm just like seeing silhouettes of leaves, silhouettes of branches. And I'm just like, all right, what's this about, man? I'm just trying to figure it out. And then I was seeing the light again, but not the same light like the Mother Ayahuasca light. This was the light that was like darting all about. Then I started hearing voices in the distance, and they were getting closer. After a few seconds, I realized the light was a flashlight, and I'm hearing my own voice. And I'm hearing Fabi's voice, and the hunter's voice, and the branches breaking, coming towards me. Then I see the hunter, and then I realize that I'm now the Bushmaster at that moment of capture. And I literally strike at the hunter, and I zip through his leg. I feel a tap on my tail. I turn around. I see me, and I see me putting the stick over my head, and my face getting pushed into the mud. Me getting grabbed by the back of the neck, having my mouth and fangs over the glass, and the venom pouring out of my fangs, getting put back, and then the stick getting lifted from my head. And then I go and I lunge towards myself. And when I lunge towards myself, I see the barrel of a shotgun and this bright flash and this pain like in my ass, in my leg, stomach area, and everything went black. Suddenly, I'm being dragged through the jungle by my neck with a vine. And I'm feeling everything that this animal must have felt. Now, throughout this entire situation, I literally am crying. I'm laying on my stomach in this hut. I'm trying to keep it quiet because there's 4 other people around. So I'm trying to hold it back, but the tears are streaming down my face. My nose is filling up with mucus, and I'm trying to hold it, and I am absolutely crying. I felt guilt of killing her, and then I felt her side of this story. I felt the pain of getting shot. I felt, the pain of the capture, the fright of the capture I felt. But it was real guilt because my interpretation was not correct at that point. So I was crying for this out of guilt of what I did to her because I never like hurting anything. Drag myself back up to the hut, and that's when the Mother Ayahuasca bright light comes up again. It says, now I'd like to make the introduction. Out of the left side of my eye is this Bushmaster, and I'm just seeing from the tip of the nose, the head, and maybe like the first foot of the body is all I saw of her. I immediately start saying, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry I did this to you. It was selfish for me to do this to you. I am so sorry. I don't know what to say. And she just said, stop. Stop crying. I'm here to thank you. I said, what do you mean? She said, you relieved me of a lot of pain. She says, I hate the jungle. I spent my entire life in the jungle. It is hot. It is dangerous. You're always on guard. I'm old. I'm tired. I don't want to be here anymore. All my young has either died or they're adults now and they're so wild they just go along their way and I have no interaction with them whatsoever. But the majority of my young have passed away and I'm with them now. And when she said that, these baby vipers were literally like crawling all over me, and I could see them plain as day. coiled up on my back and then, climbing over my shoulder. She says, you've met them before. They were the vipers that were around the bowl the first time I took ayahuasca, that were biting at me, trying to get that bad energy out of me. She says, they were my young that previously died and were, in the spirit world, and they told me about you. I called you for me. And that's where that whole guilt situation of people getting hurt and that obsession. She says, you did not have an obsession. But she actually kind of have an arrogant streak to her. She says, I am so far stronger than you. I called you. You did not come for me. Everything is in black and white, which was unusual. The only color was two visions I had. And the first one was this. She says, look, and it's like a drone type view of the jungle. It is just ocean of trees. And she said to me, do you actually think that you would find me in here if I did not want you to find me? I could sit 2 foot away from you and you would never see me if I didn't want you to see me. She says, I called you because I knew that you could use my medicine, and I know that you could get me out of here and get me to the other side with my loved ones where I want to be. And so you did me the favor. I did you the favor of giving you my medicine.
Thank you for listening to part 2 of Ayahuasca and My Spirit Guide. Part 3 is all ready for you. Keep enjoying.